listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
Thank you. I thank you. And yes, and a great big Monday night greeting to you. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Not much around here makes too much sense anymore. But nonetheless, you're listening to George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. That's right. It's a whole lot safer here in our world than it is in yours. And I ask you that you sit back. Well, don't sit too far back because we've got lots of music, lots of dancing, lots of laughter. And tonight, we're going to bring you the final part of Fire in the Hole, and we'll get you up to speed in just a moment. Here's what I would like for you to do real quick. Reach out to other people that you know, however you reach out to them with whatever device you might use. Reach out to them and tell them the George Espenlaub Show is live from the Funny Farm in the Funny Farm radio facility, and tell them to tune in, because this is going to be another good one. So whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, I am delighted to be able to come to you wherever you might be. Some of our listeners, it's already tomorrow. Other listeners, it is tonight, like it is here. Maybe several hours difference, but regardless of the time difference, regardless of where you are, let's have a great time tonight. Charlie, my buddy, is sitting over there, and he is ready to go. He has his console loaded up. He's got music in there. He's already tapping his foot, snapping his finger, bobbing his head, and shaking his booty.
I told you every single time, don't you worry. You would always call me at the wrong time, so you can know what I was up to. Oh, don't you get that? It's just stupid. Hey, just hear me out. It's been a while since we were good, so why we dragging out when we've been doing everything we could? I don't wanna feel so lonely tonight.
Well, they said it was supposed to rain. But wow, it is really, really raining out here. Ah. Rain, thunder, birds singing, grass growing, flowers blooming. Oh, do you hear that rolling thunder? Do you hear that pouring rain coming down upon us? Hey, the chat room is open. And I see that Miss Cassandra from Arkansas is in there. Oh, my. Whoa, that rain, thunder. My, oh, my. You never know what's going to happen here at the Funny Farm. You just never know. Whew. Man, oh, man. But we love it here. We love it. I'll bet this is going to be over in a heartbeat. I just bet you it stops raining and the sun comes out and the birds will sing. I told you. I told you that would happen. I just knew it. I just knew it. I just knew it. It's like it never happened. Instantly dry. Skies are blue. Sun shining. Oh, my. And we're going to have a good time tonight. Here's what I want to do, because we're going to finish up this episode tonight, Fire in the Hole, Part 3. I want to take you to get you up to speed, and then we'll do some other things before we get into the gist of it. Years ago, I wrote an article. In fact, it was 9 years ago that I wrote this article. And the article pertains to a life experience that I had some 25 years before that. So if you take 9 and add it on to 25, that's approximately 34 years ago. 34, 35, 36, somewhere around there, and you can do the math. But let me get you up to speed real quick, and then we're going to take you out onto the dance floor. But anyhow, I had an experience a long, long time ago, excuse me, that has left an indelible mark upon my brain housing group. And I can laugh about it now. But at the time that it was happening, oh my, words cannot even describe. So let me set the scene for you real quick. It goes like this. I never experienced what I experienced some 25 years ago. And of course, that was 9 years before I wrote. 9 years ago, I wrote this article, so that happened 25 years before I ever wrote the article. I had heard and known some people that experienced what I was about to experience, but I had yet to experience what other people had already experienced. Why my mind decided to stop at that point in time of my life, I have no idea. But I've learned that when it stops at a particular place, get out, face what the mind wants you to see, put your big boy pants on, and deal with it. That ride back now is much more pleasant. Come into my world. It's nice here. I went on a long motorcycle journey years and years and years ago. This is what happened. Funny that I should say the ride back, because that's where my experience started, on my ride back home. I won't bore you with where I was or why I was where I was, but I had been to where I was on my bike. After days of riding hundreds of miles and doing what I was doing, I made the U-turn that pointed me in the direction of home. It was the day before I made that turn that I began to experience what turned out to be a very unpleasant experience. Riding as far as I did, one could expect to get somewhat stiff and even sore in some spots. That's why you should stop, rest, walk around, stretch your aching bones periodically, which is exactly what I had been doing, But yet, after doing what I was supposed to be doing, there was something developing that didn't feel quite right. I noticed that I couldn't ride as far without stopping. That in and of itself wasn't a big deal because I was tired, very tired. The real problem was that it was becoming harder to get off the bike when I did stop, and even harder to get back on again. Once off the bike, it became difficult to walk, and I wasn't comfortable when I sat down no matter what I was sitting on. I knew what it was because Jake kept screaming in my ear. Oh yeah, Jake is the little guy that sits on my shoulder and talks to me. I was beginning to experience what others had told me they had experienced. Little did I know that what I was experiencing at the time was nothing as to what I would be experiencing later on. Jake let me know that he had experienced what I was beginning to experience, and the fact that I knew he was right made me mad. I didn't want, nor did I need this experience, not now, not ever, but I was beginning to experience this unpleasant occurrence nonetheless. By now, I was one herding puppy, still a long way from home. Neither Jake nor I had said the word, but I had enough sense to understand that if I never said the word, I still had what that word was. I had all the symptoms such as itchiness, pain, burning, and the awful feeling that something huge was where something huge shouldn't be. I had me a case of hemorrhoids. And I'll get back to that in just a minute.
You became my drug.
you're listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. I want to take you back again to where we were, and I'll bring you up to speed, because this is the final night of Fire in the Hole. You have to remember, here at the Funny Farm, life is different. This is a place where reality and fantasy are intertwined, and we just don't know the difference. When you go to the Espenblog.com and you scroll down the categories over there on the right-hand side, there are lots and lots and lots of articles that are written by the writers right here at the Funny Farm. This is just one in particular that we have pulled out of the archives so we could share it on the radio show, the Espenblog.com. It goes on like this, and I'll get you up to speed quickly. I found myself in a dilemma that was becoming more unbearable as time went on. I not only had hemorrhoids, but those bad boys were angry. You can say what you want, but I heard them growling, snarling, and even being downright nasty with one another. On top of all this, I would see people staring at me. I must have had an anguished look on my face, or was it the way I was walking, or the way I was sitting? Here I was, hot and tired, hundreds of miles from home, looking uglier than usual, with those big bad boys back there causing me pain and misery. Just a little side note here. If I remember correctly, this trip was unauthorized by my mom. When you have a gang of angry hemorrhoids working on you and my mom is back at the farm waiting to work on you, you have a real problem. Having one of those two would require medical attention, but to deal with both causes you to look at death as a friend. Things weren't going to get any better anytime soon. And so, that was the beginning of my dilemma. And then, if I can find the other part here, I'll continue on, and then we'll get back to the facility. Grandma Strayer used to say, there's nothing worse than a toothache or an earache. As I was endeavoring to throw my leg over the seat so I could continue on down the road, Grandma's words kept bouncing around in my head. I was becoming increasingly angry as my pain elevated to about a 14. I know, the pain chart goes to 10, but these bad boys that were behind me were taking pain and agony to a whole new level. After gritting my teeth, scrunching up my face, and holding my breath, I was finally able to mount the bike. As I lowered my butt onto the seat, I left out a whimper, or maybe it was more like a whelp. Apparently, Grandma Strayer never had hemorrhoids, or she wouldn't have put teeth in ears as being the most horrible. As I started the bike and rode off, I realized that I was mad at Grandma, of all people. She had passed away years before, and here I was getting mad at Grandma, of all people. I still say Grandma had never had hemorrhoids. Then finally I reached my destination, home. As I turned off the highway and made my way down the street to the house, I was overcome with great trepidation and fear. For a moment, just for a moment, I forgot about the battle that was raging from behind and thought about my mom. That was the first time I had ever experienced hemorrhoids, but I had experienced the wrath of my mom countless times before. My mom, on her worst day, is more vicious than any 20 hemorrhoids on their best day. She wouldn't kill you outright, but she had the capability of inflicting such severe pain you wished you would die. I told you that in times like those, you look to death as a friend. Knowing what I had already experienced and knowing what I was about to experience caused my hair to hurt. I turned the motor off and drifted into the driveway. And there I was, sitting outside the house after all this. I'll be back in just a moment and get you into the last episode of Fire in the Hole.
Not afraid to bring it up. We laugh when times are rough. All of is enough to carry us through. You bring me roses on a Tuesday, kiss me at the red light. We both like to walk down in Shelby Park. You hold my head at bedtime. You know my favorite wine. This is why we work. Why it's you and I. In the middle of the day, you turn to me and say, come on, let's get away. Skip this town for a day. Get behind the wheel and drive. We don't care about the time with you by my side. I don't need to hide, I feel alive. You bring me coffee in the morning, post it with a love note. We both like to take it on a Sunday night. You know just when to kiss me. You know I don't like whiskey. This is why we work. Why it's you and I. Down the line, people will forget the reason why they walk down the aisle. They lose their love to everyday life. That's not you and I. You bring me roses on a Tuesday, kiss me at the red light. We both like to walk down in Shelby Park. You hold my hand at bedtime. You know my favorite wine. This is why we work. Why it's you and I. You bring me coffee in the morning, post it with a love note. We both like to dig it on a Sunday night. You know just when to kiss me. You know I don't like whiskey. This is why we work. Why it's you and I. Dancing in the moonlight. Girl, you bring the sun out. This is why we work. Why it's you and I.
The Swinging 60s.
Swinging 60s.
The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s. The Swinging 60s Show with Harry Burt on Spreaker.com.
Hey, this is Harry over here in Ireland. Welcome you to the Swinging 60 Show. Sunday evenings, 2000 hours GMT. I will play Beatles, Kinks, Beach Boys, Carpenters, Elvery Brothers, lots of classic oldies. We have quizzes. We have all things going on here. So Google the Swinging 60 Show. Be heard. Come into the chat room.
Away from home.
And welcome back. We are concluding our episode of Fire in the Hole tonight. We did part 1, we did part 2, and now we're doing part 3. It's all funny now, but it sure wasn't funny when it was taking place. I would encourage you to go to the Espenblog.com. That's the Espenblog. ESPENBLOG.com. The Espenblog.com. And there you can read all about everything that happens here at the Funny Farm. There are some serious things that goes on there. We have a new writer in town by the name of Ed Temple, and he writes under Ed Said, and you can read all of his articles. We have some other serious articles, but over the years, the Funny Farm has been lighthearted, a lot of laughter, and as you read through these articles that have been written, you find out that we really don't know the difference between fantasy and reality. Everyone at the Espenblog has a voice. Everyone. Every character has something to say, and every character, well, most characters, have something to write about. Sometimes you hear them pop on because they'll give a call in if they're not here at the studio, out there on the dance floor. And then other times you'll see some of their writings. Miss Ernestine, she's the chief editor here at the Espenblog.com. She keeps things right where they're supposed to be, I think. There's Harvey. And there's Charlie. Charlie not only runs the board for me here in the radio studio, he is an author. He is a writer. We have our own news team, camera team. We even have a chopper that flies out and covers news events wherever they happen here in our world. So we're self-sustained. And so going back to the Espenblog and reading this article that I wrote 9 years ago has been a lot of fun. And you can go there too, the Espenblog.com. Go under the categories and you'll see such things as Amazing Things, Charlie's Stuff, Ed Said, Fluff's Corner, Harvey Speaks, Interesting People, Miss Ernestine Reports, the radio show news, and of course the Espenblog. Now I made it home. And as I sat there in the dark, I knew I had to do two things. First, I had to get myself off the bike. And second, I had to get myself in the house where there might be a slight chance of finding some relief. Although I knew that facing my mom would not bring any relief, only grief. As good as it was to be home, it wasn't good to be home. And so I went on to say that with all the grit I could muster, I slowly removed my butt from the seat. You can say or think what you will, but as I was peeling myself from the bike seat, I could hear that gang of hemorrhoids laughing at me. It was the most hideous laugh I have ever heard. They started jumping and carrying on as they turned up the heat. I could feel them puffing up even further now that they weren't being pressed down on the seat anymore. Those bad boys left me know in a heartbeat that they were going to express themselves now that they had some room to grow. And so I stood there in the dark waiting for lightning to strike while the hemorrhoids had their way with me. And then I tried to make my way to the door and so on and so forth. And then I gave you a little history of what hemorrhoids are and all that good stuff. And this is where we got off on Friday night. I made it up to the door. After banging on the door, I made it into the house with the help of my mom. I'm not talking about she physically helped me. She opened the door after a long period of time. And so here's where we are tonight. I went past my mom. I was heading for the bathroom. And she went past me like a bullet. And I fell down. Here's how it goes. There I was, curled up in a fetal position on the floor in the hallway with my mom towering over me. She continued to zing questions at me faster than an FBI agent. As my mom raged on completely out of control, I quickly glanced up at her, only to discover that she was on fire. I'm telling you, she was on fire. She had no recognizable features such as hair, lips, cheeks, etc. Her once beautiful face was gone, replaced by a ball of fire that resembled the burning sun. Where her eyes had been brown, now I saw blood. I heard about people with blood in their eyes, and I'm not talking about people that had eye injuries. Know what I mean? In the years prior to this, I had never once seen my mom like this. Oh, sure, there were several. Well, more than several times I had made her mad enough to thump me upside my head, which I rightly deserved. But this time, everything about her was different. I lost my place. But this time, everything about her was different. I had seen her face get red like fire before, but her face never disappeared in fire. I was acquainted with fire blasting its way out of her nose holes before, but her nose was never consumed in the fire. I have witnessed my mom being so angry at me that her hair stood straight up, but her hair never caught on fire before. There were even times that she had fire in her eyes, but I never saw blood in them until now. Did I mention that Grandma never went through anything like this? I felt myself trembling in fear as the fire lady raked me over the coals. I was surrounded by fire, but I felt cold chills running up and down my spine as this crazy woman blasted away at me from above and those devilish hemorrhoids burned at me from behind. It was so unfortunate that I wasn't going to die in the fire. Where was Grandma when I needed her most? Of course, she never had hemorrhoids either. Ah, my. Although my body was racked in pain and my mind filled with confusion, I was most disturbed by the fact that my mom had yet to ask what was wrong with me. Why I even allowed that thought to enter my mind was beyond me. Why would she be interested in my physical condition when she was about to beat me beyond recognition? Once she found out that I had been attacked by hemorrhoids while AWOL, her soul would sing at such good fortune. As much as I was trying to draw a very graphic picture of what I was going through while curled up on the floor with the fire lady raining fireballs upon me from above and hemorrhoids burning me up from behind, I don't think Grandma was getting it because she never had hemorrhoids. Of course, Grandma never did some of the things I did that got me into these dilemmas. With everything that took place in the hallway, just several feet from the bathroom where I was hoping to get some sort of relief, my mom did the most unexpected thing. I should have been looking for it, since this wasn't the ordinary knockdown, beat me severely about the head and shoulders ritual. You would think that all things being cranked up to another level and my mom heated up the way she was, I would have been somewhat prepared. Nope, I wasn't. But it happened whether I was ready or not. Would any of you boys or girls out there like to guess what my mom did? Remember, this happened over 25 years ago, but as I write this article, it seems as if it's happening all over again. Excuse me while I stand up to relieve the pain.
Stars last night, did not believe that wind up right. Lucky endings were not something for me. I drove around across
Well, that is inappropriate. Out of the cold, into the fire. Oh boy, just what we're talking about. You're listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm, and yeah, what can I say? What can I say? Let me get back to where I'm at, because I want to finish this thing up tonight. Where was I? Oh, I asked if any of you boys or girls out there would like to guess what my mom did. I'm now typing this standing up. Now, I typed this article 9 years ago. And the episode that I'm talking about happened 25 years before that. So we're talking about 34, 35 years. I'm now typing this standing up. I have the laptop on a stand. You know, something like one of those music stands. I can't bear to sit any longer while I reminisce. It's too painful. Hey, are you as crazy as the rest of us yet? Jake put that in there as I walked away from the computer for a second. I haven't taken my meds yet this morning, so my train is running off the track. I better stop for now, post what I have, and go take my meds. Did I tell you that Cindy, the chief psychiatrist here at the Funny Farm, has me scheduled for a shock treatment at 9 a.m.? Maybe I'll be half right after Cindy gets done with me. I'll let you know how it turns out when I get back. But in the meantime, see if you can guess what my mom did to me while I was on the floor in the hallway. See you later, boys and girls. And now let's continue. Can you believe that this is part 6? I wrote this article in sections because as I wrote, going back in time and really bringing the details out caused some pain, both mental and physical. But can you believe that this is part 6 of Fire in the Hole? Since I'm the chief client, the ringleader of this gang here at the Funny Farm, I'd like to lead by example. Take this part 6 series about hemorrhoids that I've been writing. Most folks out there in the real world would never think of discussing their hemorrhoids with Joe Public. If the subject were to be discussed at all, it would most likely be amongst family members or a close friend. Of course, one would most certainly converse with a doctor, but to hang it out there for the entire world to see would be unthinkable by the majority of people. Did I say hang it out there? Oh my, there was no pun intended. Here in our world, we openly share our experiences, both good and bad, which enables us to express ourselves and empty our souls to each other. Hey, that sounded pretty darn good, although I have no idea what it means. Oh boy, here I go again, but not to worry, I'll get back on track. I don't believe that I said hanging out there, but in looking back, I see that I most certainly did. I'm such a twit sometimes. Check out this definition. Twit, meaning a fool, to ridicule as a fault, also deride, mock, razz about yourself. I threw that about you in there. I'm having a burst out of an outburst right now, so please bear with me. If you've never had a burst out of an outburst, you will never understand what I'm experiencing, but that's perfectly all right. Now allow me to take a deep breath, stand up, stretch, shake myself so I'll be able to continue. There, that's so much better now. No wonder it's taken this many parts to write one article. If you're a first-time reader or a first-time listener, don't bail on me just yet. Get a grip on something. Hang on, and I'll make you just as crazy as the rest of us here at the Funny Farm. Do I have you confused? Do I have you shaking your head? Do I have you scratching your head? My goal is to make you just as goofy as the rest of us. Okay, enough of whatever that was. You must always keep in mind that this is a place where fantasy and reality are intertwined and we can't tell the difference for the most part. Throughout this series, I have continually mentioned Grandma. Read through the previous articles of Fire in the Hole and you will see that Grandma is repeatedly referred to. Grandma was for real, and to prove Grandma was for real, I posted a picture. And so you could see that Grandma was really for real. Grandma was precious to us, but she never had hemorrhoids. Let's get back to the hallway where I was curled up in a fetal position on the floor with the fire lady breathing fire and brimstone down upon me. Trembling in fear and pain, I watched helplessly as Mum drew her right foot back and gave me a good swift kick which landed square in the middle of my butt. Oh, the excruciating pain that shot through me as the already irritated hemorrhoids reared up. With that, my mom walked away while I slowly forced myself to crawl to the bathroom. Those hemorrhoids were thumping as if they had a heartbeat of their own as I closed the bathroom door. As quickly as I was able, I turned the water on in the tub. Not too hot, not too cold. By the time the tub was almost full, I was ready to climb in. I eased myself down into the warm water that would bring relief to my tired, aching, on-fire butt. Did I mention that I had to lay on my side while in the tub? There was no way I could sit on my butt in that tub of water. I wasn't in the tub very long when a brilliant idea hit me. Well, at the time, I thought it was brilliant. Those hemorrhoids were on fire when I climbed in the tub. In fact, when I settled my behind in the water, I heard sizzling noises. You know, like a hot iron was dunked in water. I watched in amazement as steam drifted up from the water. It was when I heard the gurgling noise that the idea hit me. If the fire was extinguished when I put the hemorrhoids in water, then the hemorrhoids gurgled as they went under the water, then I should be able to drown those bad boys, if I keep them under the water long enough. I was beginning to feel better already. I was going to put this unpleasant experience behind me once and for all. This huge, swollen, angry mass would finally be conquered by the very one that had been attacked. What I was going to do with this gang of hemorrhoids would be a message sent to all hemorrhoids, both present and future. I would be feared throughout the hemorrhoid world, and the mere mention of my name would cause hemorrhoids to tremble in fear. I'm here to tell you that Grandma never had hemorrhoids. I rested my head on the side of the tub as the hem soaked and gurgled. The gurgling sound had like its own rhythm going on down there as I drifted off to sleep. When I awoke, the water was cold, but the hems were still gurgling. As I let some water out of the tub so I could put more hot water in, I began to doubt my plan of attack. I had no watch in the bathroom, so there was no way to tell what time it was. I listened to the gurgling sound more closely to see if it sounded any different than when I first put those critters under the water. The hemorrhoids weren't gurgling as loud now. The gurgles seemed to be fading as I settled in again. With the water now warm, I was content to fall asleep one more time. How long I slept is anyone's guess, but as I woke up, I could see that it was daylight through the bathroom window. The water was now cold. I was stiff and looked like a prune, but the gurgling sound had stopped. As I struggled to my feet, I half expected to see dead hemorrhoids floating in the water, but that didn't happen. As I stepped from the tub and dried off, I suddenly realized that the hems were not dead, but still very much alive. I gasped as I felt the hemorrhoids rear their ugly heads. I heard them as they snarled and growled, demonstrating to me that they were very angry that I had attempted to drown them. Those hems began to puff themselves up until they were bigger than before. And if that wasn't enough, one of those devilish critters struck a match, setting them all on fire again. My plan had failed miserably, and the hemorrhoids were going to make sure that I paid the price for trying to kill them. I let out a whelp that vibrated the house, and once again I cried like a baby. Grandma never had to face such a thing as hemorrhoids, and I'm sure of that. This condition was going to require some drastic medical attention. I couldn't beat those hemorrhoids on my own. My mom wasn't going to do anything to help. Grandma wasn't here to comfort me, and if I didn't get some kind of relief soon, I would go stark raving mad. I needed a hemorrhoid killer. Highly specialized, well-equipped, hard as nails, roll-up-your-sleeve kind of person that had a worse attitude than the hemorrhoids themselves. I needed someone whose mission in life was to attack and destroy hemorrhoids. I shuffled to find the phone book. It was time to call for help. Wow. Moving on. What happened? Let me go down here and go to the next section. All right. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, Espenlaub, you're so goofy sometimes. Where did the other part of your story go? Oh my goodness gracious. Let me go back and see what I missed. Bear with me, folks. You know Espenlaub can blow it up sometimes. All right. That was part 6. Wow. Where did the rest of it go? I haven't been here for 9 years, so where it went to, I just don't know. Let me look for it in the meantime. Happens all the time. Happens all the time. Have I not said that we just never know what's going to happen around here? If I haven't said it, then I'm saying it now. I needed someone whose mission in life was to attack and destroy hemorrhoids. I shuffled to find the phone book. It was time to call for help. And then I wrote, got to go for now. Have to meet with Harvey to discuss his new assignments. He's back now, you know. Or perhaps you didn't know. One time Harvey was kidnapped, and that's a different story for a different day. By now, everyone knows the routine, so leave the comments and be on the alert for the next George Espenlaub show that will broadcast live from the Funny Farm. Charlie has recuperated from his crash. That was a different story. And will be in the booth with me later on today. Thanks for dropping in. And apparently, folks, Espenlaub never got back to finish Fire in the Hole. I mean, it's finished as far as that part is finished, but it's not finish. I'm going to have to come back and update everyone on what happened because, oh boy, it really got bad after that. My mom truly did get her revenge. I'm telling you. Wow. And so that was 6 episodes of a 3-part episode of Fire in the Hole. I will tell you this, that after I found one of those hemorrhoid killing people, I mean, that was their specialty. They killed hemorrhoids. After I hooked up with that individual by telephone, I had to wait before I could go see this hemorrhoid killer. Now look, I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit down. It hurt whichever way I moved. I told you before that my face hurt. My face hurt because it was scrunched up all the time. You try running around with your face all scrunched up, and you see if your face don't hurt. Did I gain any sympathy from Mum? No sirree. How about the kids? They thought it was the funniest thing. I would try to sit down. I'd sit in a chair with, the arms on both sides, and I'd try to lower myself down. I'd try to raise up or turn to the side, and it was a real spectacle. Nope. They laughed too. My mom, she truly had a delightful time. I know that she was laughing in the background, and I deserved everything that I got. But ladies and gentlemen, you just never know what might happen here at the Funny Farm. That was my adventure. And I'm going to have to go back. I'm just going to have to go back and put the caboose on that thing. I don't know what happened. Maybe something transpired here. I'll have to check the articles that I wrote after that. Maybe there was an emergency here that I had to take care of. But I would challenge you, go to the Espenblog.com and go down those categories. Miss Ernestine, she's a fantastic writer. Harvey, he's all the time getting in trouble. He is most arrogant, conceited, selfish. I mean, look at me. I'm the cat's meow. And you have to read some of Harvey's articles to understand who Harvey is and why he is the way he is. Then you got Charlie. Fluffy is no longer with us. She used to write for us, but unfortunately Fluffy passed away. But we have a gang of writers here. and they're all so much fun. So I would challenge you. I'm sitting here trying to talk to you, and I'm thinking in my mind, why didn't I ever finish that? I can't remember what I did this afternoon, much less 9 years ago when I wrote that article. But anyhow, I challenge you to go to the Espenblog.com. The Espenblog.com, you read some serious things in there by Ed Temple. Every now and then I'll throw something serious in there, but for the most part, it's fun. It's crazy. It'll make you look at me like I have two heads. But nonetheless, my whole goal is to make you just as crazy as the rest of us. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for you guys that was in the chat room. I have no idea what you've been thinking. I have no idea. Maybe you're just shaking your head at me. I don't know. But thank you for tuning in. And so, whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, if it's nighttime, have a very pleasant night. If it's daytime where you're at, have a great day. But remember this, be kind one to another, take care of one another, and please, don't ever be afraid to say, I love you. It could possibly save a life. Until next time, until I figure out why I didn't write that, I trust that God will keep you right in the center of his hand. Good night, everybody.